Welcome back to Thone's Nibbles. This is Thone's Nibble number 73. The material is from John chapter 5. And God gives Jesus a judgment, all judgment. I laughed because I had misspelled gives, and it said God halves Jesus. I thought, what? So, God gives Jesus all judgment. The actual reading is from John chapter 5, verses 19 through 22. Then Jesus answers and says to them, "Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in a like manner. For the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does. And he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom he will. For the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son." So the main theme here is that the Son follows the Father. And them being really of the same mind, infinite time span, all the infinities that God makes up, Jesus also makes those same things up. So that them being in agreement and following each other is quite expected. Why is this in the Bible? It demonstrates the Father and Son relationship at its best. And we can pick up from that as being earthly fathers to our sons or to our grandsons. In my case, my sons are quite grown and gone. But, you know, our children and our children's children and so on, we need to have a relationship where the Son is at least respectful of the Father's actions. And the Father, the earthly Father being not perfect, of course, we cannot say that the Son should always follow his actions, because it may be wrong. And in this case, the Son may be wiser than the Father in a particular situation. But the whole idea of the Son at least being respectful and trying to understand his Father's actions is a good thing. Who is it written to? It's written to the Jews, and I just sort of added in parenthetically here, leadership and common folk, because this is the way it's supposed to happen for everybody. If the leadership has a different set of rules than the common people, then there's all kinds of other problems that arise from that we see from time to time. Communication. The Son does what the Father does. Again, a good basic model to follow, but we cannot carry it to its total conclusion, because the Son, the earthly Father and the earthly Son, the earthly Father can be wrong just as the earthly Son can be. Application to my life. God grants certain absolute powers to Jesus, so that after his resurrection, he can judge unjust men to be guiltless before the Father. And that is the meaning of salvation, by the way. We do something unjust, but Jesus just says, I forgive them. Here. And so he says they're guiltless before the Father. And so he sees a unjust action and instantly forgives it makes the person guiltless, and so the Father is happy about all this. This is the very essence of salvation, is the forgivingness of Jesus to those who sin, and that's only for those people who have already had salvation. Of course, the people who break either spiritual laws or man's laws before salvation get the full punishment. Those of us, after we're saved, who break man's laws, we may get the full punishment still. Maybe not. Hopefully we are of good enough report that we get that the judge is lenient with us as well. However, in God's eyes, we didn't do anything, because Jesus testifies to that we are guiltless. What God said to me in this is salvation is for the forgiven, and that may seem obvious, but the fact is that if we are not being forgiven from heaven, then we don't have salvation. And if we are being forgiven from heaven, we do have salvation. So it's a very, they track together all the way. Now that, as I say, with men's laws, which are necessary and condoned by God, we may still reap the fruits of whatever sin we've committed, but not so with Jesus. My personal response: Lord, thank you for making this, our salvation, possible through your Son, Jesus. And that's really a statement of the gospel. God sent his Son, and his act of death, burial, and resurrection made it possible for him to be forgiving to us, and therefore our sins are forgiven in heaven. So that's it for today, and we'll talk to you shortly.